Greetings. Time for another story. I'm just going to talk about flying in bush planes, but excuse me, I'm having a hard time today. I'm only about 100 feet from the house down there. Anyway, as you can see, it snowed. But I was going to talk about bush planes and some of the stories I had. You know, before I do that, I want to just say that back in the 50s, I grew up as a little kid. And I used to go to SeaTac Airport. There'd be restaurants and open windows, and you could walk right in. There was no security, no nothing. And you could sit there and watch the planes coming in and out. People had little paper tickets. You got to the airport about, I don't know what, 15, 20 minutes before the plane took off. You went right on through, got on the plane, checked your luggage. Nice big seats. All the stewardesses looked like movie stars. And the food was good. And people could smoke back then. Then things kind of changed, didn't they? You know, people used to dress up, and it was a big thing to go traveling on an airplane, but now we're just cattle. Cattle in a cattle car. I don't even think I could get the seat in anymore. The last time I went out flying down south, you know, little bitty seat like that, you know, and they always put me next to a big fat person whose fat is kind of pouring down into my seat. I can't use the armrest because their arm is so big and fat it's taking mine and theirs. Sometimes you hear funny gurgling sounds. Something that sounds like gas passing. Oh gosh. And then you'd be sitting there. You got a little 5-year-old behind you kicking your seat. Bang, bang, bang. All the way to Seattle. Isn't that fun? What's even worse is you spend more time sitting in the frickin' airport than you do flying to your destination. Things have changed. I don't like it. The leg's kind of killing me today, both of them. I was trying to think if I had any strange experiences. And I had one. I'm trying to remember the date, but it was when Tony Knowles was governor of Alaska. I was a member of the Governor's Advisory Council, which means they flew us around different places all over Alaska about 4 or 5 times a year. And we met in little groups and strategic planning and so forth for the state of Alaska, and then report back to Governor Knowles. I was on that for about 4 years. But part of the deal is about once a year they had to send you out for some kind of seminar and training stuff. And on this particular trip, they were going to fly us down to New Mexico. Well, I tell you, let's start out in Anchorage and I go down to New Mexico. That's a long day. Jeez. But I know we changed planes in Seattle. I'm not sure if we changed planes at Salt Lake. But we took off from Salt Lake, and we must have been right around the Four Corners area. Yeah, kind of half asleep, and all of a sudden there's this loud bang. I mean, it is extremely loud, like somebody had a gun and shot behind your head. I mean, it was one of the loudest bangs I had ever heard. And the funny thing is that the bang went off, and then there was like silence in the plane. It's like everybody that was sitting on that plane was in some kind of a psychotic or some kind of shock because of that loud bang. Then all of a sudden somebody starts getting up, looking around. Everybody's looking at each other. In about 10-15 seconds after the bang, over the intercom, "This is the captain speaking. That scared me a lot more than it scared you." Well, it turned out we were hit by lightning. And the lightning had hit the nose of the plane about 2 feet in front of the pilot. So that was probably the only real scary thing I ever had happen to me on a big plane like that. But yeah, man, it was a loud bang, and I didn't see any flash or nothing. It was just a giant bang. There was no movement or bolt, you know, nothing. But he said that whole lightning bolt looked like it just hit him right in front of his face. Anyway, I've never been real big on flying in those big planes anyway, and now I can't, because of my legs and stuff, and I can't physically sit in the plane anymore anyway, let alone sit for 2 hours in an airport. I've flown a little bit around with pilots, Southeast Alaska, float planes and so forth, but most of my flying was done in Bristol Bay. I was under federal contract, and I was working for the Bristol Bay Native Association there in Dillingham. And at that time we had the old building. I was there in the early 90s, so the building was like an old house. And we had little skinny little rooms in the house for our offices and so forth. But I covered an area about the size of the state of Ohio. 30 villages, from Toyac in the north to Prairieville, Ivan Bay, down to out the Alaska Peninsula, and then over to Lake Iliamna, up to Lake Clark, up by Nundalton. So I covered a huge area, Muskegs River, Igigik, Nuskuyakok, and Ekwok, and all kinds of little villages, Nundalton. And we didn't have credit cards or nothing back then, so they just gave me some little vouchers and take a handful of them. So I just took a handful of vouchers. So anytime I need to be flown somewhere, or if I needed a meal or had to buy something in the store or something, I just sign my name on the voucher and give it to the person, and later on they get the cash from BB&A. So I enjoy flights. I like to fly low, you know. Anyway, I'll tell you this one first. I was in Togiak, and the wind had come up. And blowing, oh my gosh, it was blowing 30 or 40 down by the you know, they have gravel runways. You know, nothing hard was paved at the time. It was just hard gravel. So I finally called over to Dillingham, and I knew a guy I flew with quite often. And he says, you know, I've been looking at the forecast, and it looks like the weather is calm above 1,000 feet, but down low it's really blowing. He says, you know, I'm going to try to come get you. So he showed up, landed, and he said, yep, I'm right. As soon as we get up there about 1,000 feet, it'll be calm, and nice flight home. I know, that's great. So we're heading down the runway, and the wind's coming straight at us. And all of a sudden, some big gusts come up, and he's revving her all up, and I'm looking. And we ain't going forward. We're going like this, like a helicopter. I look, we were going straight up. I couldn't believe it. We weren't going forward because of the wind, headwind coming in. So eventually we got up there about 1,000 feet and got easier to go, and took off and flew back to Dillingham. Another thing I like to do, you know, I think those commercial guys, I don't think they could fly below 500 feet. But anyway, I always try to get them to fly lower, you know, because I like to watch the caribou and the moose and the stuff. Oh, isn't that cool? I look at the rivers and all kinds of stuff down in there. One day we had to go to Ekwok, and let's see, is that the story I want to tell you? Yeah, I kind of wanted to go to Ekwok, and I had to. We flew in and saw the little animals and the stuff, and watched the caribou, and you know, fly a little lower, you know. We can see all the animals and stuff. But when you get to Ekwok and any of those little villages, the pilot has to, at that time anyway, I'm probably the same, they had to fly kind of around the airfield a little bit because of the dogs. Now, for some reason, when planes come in on those little airfields, dogs like to chase them. and dogs and props don't mix. So I think every person I flew with up there, every pilot at one time or another had killed a dog with his prop. So we're flying around. Oh, everything's okay. And it was only about a 30-40 minute flight from Dillingham up the Muskegs River up there to Ekwok. And we come down to land, and no sooner than that aircraft's wheels hit the ground, all the power in the aircraft went out. I mean everything. There was nothing that worked that was electrical. Not even the dome light. So we're looking at the thing. I don't know what to do. So anyway, they radioed over to Dillingham, and they're going to send over another plane with a mechanic in it. And the idea was they're going to leave the plane for us to take back, and the mechanic, he was going to spend the night or whatever in Ekwok and work on the aircraft, see if he can't get it going. In the villages, most of them have tiny little grocery stores or something. But we always packed winter gear. You always took a sleeping bag because you didn't know if you'd ever be able to get out or not. And up north, a lot of people who probably don't know this, is that the main area in the village is a school. So if you have to spend the night, you spend the night in the school, which is fine because it's warm, and it's got showers, and it's got bathrooms. And, I spent quite a few nights sleeping on the floor in one of those small little schools up there. Some of them were only 2, 3, 4 rooms. So anyway, and we'd sometimes get something in the store, but most of the time I was always invited out for something to eat. Hey, you want to have some moose for lunch? Yeah. But anyway, I tried different native foods. I tried beluga, but I didn't like it. They warned me, don't even think about eating walrus. Not even the young natives up there can stomach the walrus. But I've tried different things. What I really loved was the strips of the king salmon from the Muskegs or Yukon River, because they have higher fat content. So they'd strip them all out, smoke them, and bring them to me all the time. And I even dipped them in seal oil. Oh, but man, are they ever good, that smoked fish. I'd sit there and eat it, and the grease would be running down my face. And oh, that's wonderful stuff. But anyway, we were waiting for the plane to come in. Somebody invited us over to their house. We were just kind of talking in the kitchen, and I kind of looking around, and the women folk are kind of cooking dinner and doing things. And I looked over a turkey pan. I was kind of looked in there. Oh my gosh. What I saw looked like a rat with about that much fat all the way around it, every side. And I'm going, oh no. And I looked again, and oh no. Well, I had seen, beaver tails. They'll trap beaver and keep the beaver tails, hang them outside and cook them up. But this turned out to be, after I got looking at it, I still couldn't identify it. And then finally I looked and I said, hey, that's pretty good looking. And they said, yeah, man, that's a nice fat porcupine. So anyway, here's a porcupine in a turkey pan, roasting pan. We eventually got taken out of there and flown back, so I didn't have to spend the night in the school and maybe have porcupine for dinner. But I really enjoyed flying around in the villages and seeing the country back up there and seeing all the big herds of caribou and other animals running around. It was really pleasurable. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed that country, and the people up there, they just treated me great. That's one of the most fun jobs I ever had in my life. I get paid for having fun, huh? But anyway, there was another guy I knew in town. He had a small plane and a little Cessna or something. 2 people could sit in the front, but there was no room in the back. One of the smallest ones they make, you know. It was a really small plane. And he said, hey, let's go up fly and look around at something. I said, yeah. He said, where do you want to go? He says, well, I'm kind of curious what's up the Muklong River, which runs into the Muskegs River there. And so we took off, and this guy, of course, he wasn't restricted by any rules or regulations, so we were going down the Muklong River really low. I looked over one time at the altimeter and it said 50 feet. So we come around this corner, really low. It's kind of, Muklong has kind of muddy banks and stuff because it's partially tidal. So we're flying around, coming in there. Come around that corner, and here's this great big caribou with eyeballs like that. And I swear we almost hit that thing. I couldn't believe it. We come really close. I could just see the big horns of that big antlers of that caribou stuck up in the undercarriage, you know. Wow, that kind of got me going there for a while. But anyway, I was flying a camp with the guy, and we're, I don't know, flying around Snake Lake or something up there. I can't remember what it was. And he had an older plane, but it handled nice. And you know, I just love the little planes because I'm sitting there with the pilot, you know, and you can look out this way and that way, and you got the air breathing around your nose, and you're not cramped into it. Even though the seat's small, you don't feel like you're cramped in. It's like, yeah, got more room. Anyway, we flying around, having a good time, and a nice sunny day. I come down, we land at Dillingham. Like I said, it was a hard-packed gravel runway. And hit the ground, really nice. It just started going, and then all of a sudden, the plane's going like this. And the pilot, he says, oh! And he's looking out the window, and this way, that way, and he looks over at me, and he says, look out the window. And I look, and I says, do you see anything? No. I told him, I don't see nothing. You know, first instinct is they took out a dog or something. But that plane is just going like this down the runway. And the front end was going, and the back end seemed to be stuck or something. It's really a weird sensation. So finally we get the plane stopped. Got a little thing. Jump out and look. Now look behind us. And there's a furrow about that wide and about that deep for about 100 feet behind the plane through the gravel in the runway there. Just like somebody had dug a ditch to plant corn or something. So we looked down, and the back wheel of the aircraft somewhere out there had fallen off. So there was nothing but a metal pipe hanging down about that long. You know, no wheel attached at the bottom. So that pipe, we were dragging it through the runway and digging a furrow in that ditch. But that was one of the strangest things I'd ever seen. But anyway, I hope that's about all the stories I've got of flying. I never had any really close calls, or, well, I guess I could say somewhat close, but that's some exciting times. I really still enjoy if somebody tomorrow said, let's get in that little plane and go, I'd be, yeah. But as far as the big ones, I don't think I could survive anymore. But anyway, thanks for watching my video, and if you haven't seen my other stories, you can check them on YouTube. I'm working on another one about my, I spent about a year and a half over in Juneau, and so the next one will be about Juneau and some of the people and things I saw. So until then, thanks for watching.